Okay, we are continuing our club history series, our football club history series, and we're looking at Portsmouth in this history video. Pompey. They play at Fratton Park, which is currently under renovation. They're doing some renovations to the historically old stadium, which I've been to so many times watching football matches. Currently seats at full capacity, 20,620. It is one of the grand old stadiums of English football. It's one of the oldest stadiums in the game. A lot of the older stadiums are getting knocked down, heavily modified, and Fratton Park hasn't lost that old school feel to the stadium. It's a fantastic stadium. Portsmouth itself, they're founded way back on the 5th of April 1898 by a guy called Sir John Brickwood. They're not the first club to play in Portsmouth. There's even a Royal Naval Portsmouth Football Club that play at roughly the same time, and there's some debate about which one was first and various other things and the state of professionalism at the time, because Portsmouth weren't a professional club. But that's their foundation date. Now, they're the sixth club overall to win back-to-back titles. The first club to do that obviously was Preston North End. They're the only league side in the top four divisions not to play on the mainland of England. They play on Portsea Island. Another club that I know of that don't play on the mainland technically is Canvey Island, but they're in the non-league. Their 2008 FA Cup final victory is the highest attendance at the new Wembley, with 89,974 out of a possible attendance of 90,000. That means there were 26 empty seats at that final in 2008, 14 and a half years ago. They held the FA Cup for 7 years due to World War II, between 1939 and 1946. So there's some of the fun facts. Now, they're formed in 1898. The following year, in 1899, they joined the Southern League, and then they go into the Western Football League for 9 years, and then they go back to the Southern League up till 1920. Now, 1920 is a very pivotal year for the Football League because there's a massive influx of new clubs joining the league system, and the following year, in 1921, even more clubs will join the league system. So the early 1920s is very, very pivotal for the expansion of the Football League, with a lot of clubs from the Southern League, the Midland League, and some of these other, like the Lancashire combination. These other semi-professional and amateur leagues, clubs are getting absorbed. Now, it doesn't take them long to win their first FA Cup. War intervenes, then they win their 2 league titles, and then it takes a very, very long time. 68 years, actually, to win their second FA Cup. But, and I will stress this, if war doesn't intervene, I honestly believe that they could have dominated English football for the best part of a decade. Now, not long after they win their second league title, Wolves become the dominant side of the 50s, which we have covered in a previous video on the history of Wolverhampton Wanderers. And then your Liverpools and Man Uniteds start to become dominant in the 60s, and then Liverpool takes over in the 70s and the 80s, with a few other clubs like Leeds, Everton, Aston Villa, and Nottingham Forest trying to battle Liverpool, but it's very, very difficult. And then Man United become dominant in the 90s, and then Arsenal and Man United are battling in the early 2000s, and then Chelsea comes on. So what I say is there's periods of dominance. Like Huddersfield Town dominated the 20s. There's always, in each decade or in a brief period, there's a dominant side. Portsmouth were the dominant side in the late 40s. So let's have a look at their honours. So they entered the Football League in the 1920-21 season. Their league honours, they obviously win their back-to-back titles, the 6th club to do so, in the 1948-49 season, and they follow that up in the 1949-1950 season. Their FA Cup titles, obviously the war does intervene. I honestly do believe if war didn't intervene in 1939 and the league seasons weren't suspended, Portsmouth could have been a very, very dominant side. They first win the FA Cup in the 1938-39 season. They have to wait 68 years for their second FA Cup after their second league title in the 2007-2008 season. Now, Harry Redknapp is the last English manager to also lift the FA Cup in 2008. That's another fun fact. What happens after 2008 is the dark days of administration, the financial difficulties, falling down to League Two, the fan takeover of the club at the 11th hour, the eventual sale of the club to new owners who brought stability, who are now paying for this investment in the stadium, the renovation of Fratton Park, and the positivity and slowly battling their way back up the divisions. And I'll discuss about that in a minute. They also obviously win the Charity Shield in 1949, I forget about that. But the 2010 to 2017 period is a very dark time. and it follows on not long after their second FA Cup success. So in 2010, they're docked points. They go into administration. They're the only club that has ever played in the Premier League at the time, so a Premier League club at the time, to go into administration and have a points deduction. So when they were in the Premier League, they're the only Premier League club to go into a points deduction administration kind of period. And there was a big threat of liquidation and extinction. Now, the fans take over in the period of 2010 to 2017. There is a fan takeover in this period. And also during this period, they make the FA Cup final again in the 2010 FA Cup final with Avram Grant as manager, Uncle Avram as he's nicknamed by the fans and the media very affectionately. And this is during all this turmoil, this chaotic season, disastrous season. Points have been taken off, financial uncertainty, 135 million of debts, a massive financial black hole because of Milan Mandrich. And there is that famous bankruptcy and fraud trial in regards to the missing money, and Harry Redknapp's dog comes up into the conversation. And it's a very dark time, and there's a lot of finger pointing, a lot of blame, but they still make an FA Cup final in 2010, which it just beggars belief with that season being an absolute disaster on and off the field. And unfortunately, they do tumble down the divisions. There's the points deduction, the financial problems. They've got to sell a lot of their good players. Their great squad of 2007-2008 is broken up. And they end up in League Two. Now, when they are in the lower divisions, and they're still in League One, they do win the Football League trophy in the 2018-2019 season. And as I say, the Charity Shield they shared in 1949. But it would be amiss not to mention the more recent struggles in the previous decade. The one trophy they are actually missing from the domestic trophy list is the League Cup. And there is a lot of clubs, including like Huddersfield, which we covered in the previous video, that haven't won a League Cup. Portsmouth are another one that haven't won the League Cup. And not long after they win their second league title, the era of Wolves being the dominant side in the 50s, that decade, come along and they become the dominant side. But for a brief period, Portsmouth were the top side in English football. And I do honestly believe if World War II hadn't intervened in 1939, they wouldn't have had a 10-year gap between trophies. They wouldn't have held on to the FA Cup for 7 years. I honestly believe that Portsmouth side in the late 30s and into the 40s could have been the dominant side and could have won a hell of a lot more silverware if it wasn't for World War II breaking out, the suspension of league play. I honestly believe that Portsmouth could have had a lot more silverware. But there you go. There's a brief history. A lot of fun facts. They are the only Football League side to not play on mainland England. On the mainland, they do play on Portsea Island in the Milton area of Portsmouth. You know, the fact they held on to the FA Cup for 7 years and retained their title for that long without actually playing an FA Cup tie. They hold the record of the highest FA Cup final attendance at the new Wembley as well. You know, the FA Cup is where they hold a lot of their quirky facts. But there you go. There's a brief history of Portsmouth Football Club, Pompey. And, yeah, they could have won more had it not been for the Second World War, in my honest opinion. But there you go. There's my brief history of Portsmouth. A quirky history with some dark times in the last, only, 12, 13 years ago, the club is in crisis. Massive financial problems. And they are on their way back up slowly but steadily. They are in the lower divisions right now. They're currently in League One. Hopefully one day we see them back in the Championship and hopefully one day back in the Premier League. And historically, in my opinion, they hold the bragging rights over Southampton. They've won more silverware. They've had more success. But Southampton currently have the bragging rights because they're in the top division. Portsmouth are in the third tier. And that's generally how it goes between rivals. But there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts in the comment section below and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.